Hi guys, Eugene here with Darkroom Software. In this video, we're going to be talking about packages and go into templates and printing just a little bit as they relate to packages. But we're going to cover some of the common mistakes people make and also go a little bit further than just the basics. We're going to learn some of the more advanced things that you can do using packages in Darkroom Core. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm in my computer, and one of the things you'll notice first, and this is a package group that I've made, I have, and you'll have the same, you'll have a number corresponding to each one of those packages, and those numbers can be used by your keyboard, so you can just click the number 1 and it would then print in this case, a 4x6 of the selected image. So that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize. These numbers are to let you know where on your keyboard you can click to quickly select a package. So let's go ahead and switch over to the setup tab where packages are made. The software comes with kind of just a standard group, and it's made more for 8x10 printing, and there are some users that are primarily printing in units, but for a lot of event photographers that are printing 4x6, 5x7, 6x8, these actually don't help, but they can show you what you can do. So here in this for this package, you can actually see that that package contains multiple print items, meaning that by the click of one button you can print 3 different prints. So you can think of it like a package from a school photographer where you select package D and it prints out and you receive back an 8x10, some wallets, and 5x7s. So what we're going to do is we are going to create a package group from scratch, and the first thing that I see people do all the time, and it's not necessary, I'll show you how the right way to do it and what not to do. So we're going to call this event prints, and we're going to say that I'm a photographer and I print on a 4x6, 5x7, 6x8 die sub printer, like a DNP DS620. Now, in my case, I'm using a DS40, which is a little bit older version, but we're going to give it a name, and you'll see that there's a package 1 right here with nothing in it. So the first thing, the mistake I see all the time is that they name this package group 4x6, and then they add a 4x6 to this group. If you print more than one size, the thing you'll want to do is name the package 4x6. We're going to talk about these options in just a second. Those are very valuable. So now I have a group called event prints. I have a 4x6 package, and now I'm going to add a 4x6 print. I'm going to go to 6-inch prints, and there's my 4x6. So I don't need to create a different package group to do a 5x7 print. I would just add it to that same group. So in this case, 5x7, and then I'm going to disable that warning. That option is to, if you were going to charge and you wanted to print out a receipt. So I'm going to select a 7-inch prints and 5x7. So now I have my 4x6, my 5x7. If I had an 8x10 printer, and so let's say I had multiple printers at an event, I can, it doesn't have to be for one specific printer. Let's say I'm using a 8x10 printer, and we're going to go to 10-inch prints, and there is my 8x10. So that's just one thing that I want to show you. Build a group with all the packages you would use for that type of printing. Now you can see I have multiple package groups. So this one would be if I had, let's say I was doing an event where I'm capturing photos, and then there's an additional sales station so I can print 8x10s, wallets, keepsake, additional sizes. And the same thing for this one. If I had a photo booth running, and let's say not necessarily even printing, I have a group so somebody can go in, select their image, and then print a 4x6, strips, send it via email. So kind of a off booth kiosk, if you will. So that's where the groups come in handy. If I were a sports photographer, I might have a group for baseball, and then one for soccer, and then one for basketball, and each one of those groups has a template. So that takes us to the next thing I want to show you, which is adding a template to a print item. If I double click right here, I can always apply a border, and let's say I'm going to select that guy right there. And there's a very specific reason I chose this one, and we'll look at that template in just a second. So whenever I'm going to set this to my default group, you'll see that my packages have updated to my 4x6, 5x7, 8x10 package group. When I click this, it's automatically going to apply that template, even though the template's not associated with the image yet. So one more common mistake I see made is somebody will apply a template and then also click on the 4x6 which has a template on it. So if you have a template on a package, you don't want to add a template in your photo workshop. So that's something to avoid. So we're going to go ahead and click end. So I have a vertical image and a horizontal and a vertical template. Let me see. Let's say I choose a horizontal image. What would happen? Well, if it would then crop that image to a vertical image and chop right down the side. Now, one thing you'll notice if I go to my templates, I have this template right here, and that's my vertical version, and this is my horizontal version. And I have HORZ at the end and VERT at the end of the vertical. So Darkroom automatically knows that there's a vertical and a horizontal version of that template. So rather than cropping, it will choose the correct template as long as the templates are saved in the same folder and you have that VERT or HORZ at the end. And I think horizontal and vertical spelt out would also work. But let's go ahead and test that out. There's a horizontal image. I'm going to click the number 1 for my packages, and I get a copies prompt. I'm going to go ahead and click enter and place order. So there is a much faster way to do that. Oh, let's see, my printer is not recognized, so this is a good troubleshooting. It's enabled, but it's not detected. That's because I turned on the printer after I started the software. We'll go ahead and click auto detect. And now it is detected and it should start printing. So, and I can actually just go to my orders and look at this and verify that it actually chose the right template. So there were a couple prompts that came up that, as an event photographer, I'd prefer to just skip all of that stuff and send it straight to the printer. So let's switch back over to our package groups. There's my 4x6. I'm going to double click on it. Oops, I'm going to double click on the package and select quick print. That's going to bypass the shopping cart and send it straight to the orders tab, and then orders will take it from there and print it. So that's one prompt that came up. We'll come back to these options a little bit later, but well, a la carte allows you to, let's say you had a t-shirt and you wanted to have different sizes. So you have a t-shirt package. When you click on it, it pops up multiple options for that package. Or let's say you want to have a specialty package, and then you can select a mug, a keychain, whatever from that specialty group. But you're better off, unless you have a whole bunch of packages, and to just add each one of those as a package. Personally, I like the the a la carte for specific sizes or variations on a package. Okay, click OK. So we had our copies prompt also pop up. So we'll go to workflow settings. I lied. We're going to go to general settings and scroll down. And prompt for copies. We're going to go ahead and uncheck those so it won't pull up that little calculator thing. And then we didn't have any receipt options pop up, but I'll show you that just in case that's something you run into. So show order confirmation receipt. If you uncheck that, that little invoice that shows up at the end of order will not pop up. And then let's test it out again and see if we can get it to the printer just a little bit faster. We'll select this image, click the number 1 because we want to be efficient, and there it goes. No additional prompts. Sends directly to the printer. Okay, let's head on back to our packages and keep going just a little bit further in. And if some of this just goes over your head or is not part of your workflow, you can just watch it and let it go from your memory. But because some of these are going to be more specific to specific workflows. Okay, so packages. Let's say you printed. Let me show you an example. Okay. Just to prove that there was no wizardry going on, here's the vertical print, here's the horizontal print. It will choose the correct template if it's set up properly. But this is the example I want to show you. Now, whenever you print an image like this, it's transferred to this media. You're going to use a sublimation printer specifically for transfer. So it prints on a piece of paper, and then you flip it over, heat it up in a heat press, and then you get a nice picture like this. Now the thing with that is it has to be mirrored, because when it flips back over, it's going to mirror again. So under print commands right here, you have bordered and mirrored. I'd really use a template for adding borders, but the mirror option is pretty helpful. Or if you click add, you have these different options right here. Now back printing would be nice. One of the issues you run into is a lot of printers don't support it. So if you're trying to do this and you're not sure why you're not getting back printing, double check to make sure your printer does have a back printing option. But here's that mirroring option. You can show cut lines specific for a package, and then you would just create your command and save it. So we're going to go ahead and cancel. Services are more for if you had a retouching that you need to do to an image. That's more for a studio environment. You can change the quantity. So in this situation, let's say I wanted to print 2 8x10s of the same image. I could add a quantity there. Now let's say from the same package I wanted to print an 8x10 of 2 different images. I would change that to 1 and add that package a second time. Now you can see that this could be updated. We'll add an 8x10 and then update that image. So an additional option you can do with packages. In that situation, you don't want auto print or quick print turned on, because then you wouldn't be able to override that image. So we'll go ahead and clear that and switch back to our packages. Remove that package item. So we have lab print items. If you're using Labtricity, you can send it to a lab. We have a lot of great labs on the Labtricity network, and with a whole bunch of different products. So you can do most of your printing if you want, and then just send some things out to them, or you can send all your fulfillment to a lab. And then the custom item is not actually fulfilled. It's just let's say you had a blanket as a package that you were able to print, but you don't actually print it from Darkroom. It just has an item for it. So that's where the custom item comes in. I typically suggest, unless you have a very specific reason for using that, go ahead and skip the custom item. And the reason for that is if you build a whole bunch of packages and then orders with custom items, it's not going to fulfill. Okay, so we talked about adding templates to our packages. You have a few different options right down here for layout, and those are really one of those things that you're going to want to test out and play around with. Some of it will clear out your text, it'll leave the text from original, rotation, just small things. And a lot of it's very similar to what you see in your template property, your template options when you're building a template. So let's say I had two 8x10 printers. One was a cluster print and one was a fine art print. And they went to two different printers. What I would do is I have my 8x10. If I double click right here, I have my media, and I can set this to, do I have fine art? I'm going to say deep matte for this one. And this one is luster. You know what, we're going to do this right. I called it fine art. We're going to add fine art. Okay, so what we've done is we've given those print items a key, and now we have to, we can consider our printers doorways. Now we have to put a lock on those printers to make sure that that print item only goes to that printer. So I have, let's say, my 8x10 raster printer. I am going to go to media, use matching only, and my raster printer is going to handle fine art. And then I don't have an 8x10 printer set up currently, but let's say my Fuji DX100 would handle my whoops. Well, sizes, oh, here we go. But I'm using generic and raster printer, and they're just going to print out to a folder. Use media description, and then 10-inch media. Now I'm going into the generic roll printer and raster printer, and those are a little bit confusing. But if you have this was luster, right? Okay, so if you look at the DS40, you have the same rules right here. Use media and then glossy. And so you want to be careful with your media rules because you're putting a lock on it, and if you don't make sure every print that's supposed to go to that printer has that key of the media type, then it will not work. So that's another mistake that I see every once in a while with people using multiple printers and trying to make sure one print goes one place. They'll set up that one to get that one working and then forget about all the other prints, and all of a sudden nothing's printing except for one print. So media rules are specifically for using printers that accept the same size. Now let's say you had a 4x6 and a 5x7 printer, which would be very common, and they're the exact same printer. Well, if you send a 4x6 to a 5x7 printer, let's say I was trying to print a 5x7, it would not accept 5x7 on this 4x6 printer, because right here 5x7 is not an option. Now, let's say you have a 6x8 printer and a 4x6 printer. Both of them are set up. You can see that 4x6 and 5x7 are options under the 6x8. So if you have this checked, your 4x6 will print out of a 6x8. So if you want to make sure 4x6 goes to the 4x6 printer, make sure that's the only option that's not checked on any of the other options. And that's how the sizes work. How you know what print's going to go to what printer based on the size. So that's always a question. Somebody going from a single printer going to multiple printers, how is Darkroom going to manage that? And it's kind of built in for the most part. So that is packages. One more small thing. We changed the package group earlier in the setup tab. You can also right here click on change default group and select your, what do we got? Let's do this one. And select the package and print it from, change your group from there. Packages can be hidden in both the photo workshop and library. And oh, one more small thing that I see a lot of times people change this to 8x10 while they're working on 8x10, and then when they print a 4x, let's say, whoops, when they add a 4x6, let me verify that's not gonna print. Yeah, that one's gonna save to the cart. So we can go back to photo workshop. Okay, so I'm viewing my 8x10. I click 4x6. Whoops. Remove that template. Okay, one more time. And this is just something I see every once in a while. But this right here, I would typically leave it on auto for this reason, that everything looks fine here, but whenever I add a size that's outside of this crop, you can see right here I get a white line, and it's actually there. I just can't see it because I'm cropping. So always leave this set, and you can, if you're curious on where it's gonna crop, you can turn on your guides. So we'll center that up, and we know that 8x10 is going to crop there and there. So that is packages beyond the basics. So don't feel bad if some of that just kind of doesn't apply to you, because it might apply to somebody else where something that applies to you does not apply to them. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Thanks again for watching. If there's a topic that you want to learn a little bit more about, be sure to comment below, like, subscribe, and click the little notification bell so when we release a new video, I'll let you know. Here's some other videos you might like, but most importantly, thanks for being a customer. I'll see you next time.